I'm Leonie from the Woolbaa, and I'm going to take you through step 3 of our Learning to Knit series, which is the purl stitch. You've done casting on, knit stitch, now it's time for purl. Here we go. You've learned knit stitch, and now we're going to learn purl. Purl and knit together can make some wonderful combinations, some wonderful patterning. So what I'm going to show you here is what we've done. So we've got a row of knit and row of purl gives you this flat part, which is called stocking stitch. Here around the border of this square we've got moss stitch. It's got other names like seed stitch as well, and that is created by doing one knit, one purl, one knit, one purl, and alternating it so that it's not just a rib appearance. Here in the middle we've got the same thing happening, so we've got the decoration happening with one knit, one purl. So this is what you can create. This is just a sample, but we've got knit and purl create cables, and we'll go into that further into our course. Here we've got another one with knit and purl, and we've got a triangle in the middle just done with that stitch, and down here we've got stripes using the texture of moss stitch, so one knit, one purl. So it's a very attractive stitch. I'll put that aside and we shall get started. Already here I've got what we did the other day, which is just knit stitch, 3 rows of garter stitch. So you can see 2 rows of the lumpy bits on this side and only 1 on that side. To do purl is just the mirror image of knit. So knit, we went into the stitch like so. For purl we're making a cross, and then to do that we have to put the yarn over the top of the needle. So the left hand is very, very useful in this one as well. So like I said before, if you're left-handed, you can still learn to knit this way. You don't have to reverse it. So I have put it into the top bit, so you can see what I've done there, into the loop that's just over the left-hand needle. And then with this one, the spare yarn that's connected to the ball, we're going to go over the top of the needle, wrap it. So we're going anti-clockwise. So watch again. We're going to go round the top of the needle in an anti-clockwise direction, pull it out of the loop and slip it off. In again and wrap it around the top of the needle, slip it off, and away we go. In, around, out and off. And the left hand, remember, is controlling all of the stitches on that left needle, whereas the right hand, you're holding it like a pen and you've got the yarn twisted around your fingers. Do it any which way that you prefer, but this is the way I like. So in it goes, round, out and off. In, around, out and off. Once again, left hand is pushing that needle out. This time it's my thumb. So I'm just going to keep going like that till I get to the end of the row. In, around, out and off. Halfway there, pushing them up all the time. Nearly there. So just last few. In, around, slip it out and off. Remember that. In, around, out, off. In, around, out and off. And last one the same. So now we've got 3 rows of knit stitch followed by 1 row of purl stitch. So have a look. You can see it looks a little bit different. we've got all our lumps on that side, because what Purl's doing is just making a lump on the side that's closest to you. It's not doing it on the other side like knit stitch did. So we'll do another row of purl so that you get into the rhythm. And away we go. In, around, out and off. In, around, out and off. So you can see, look at that, we've got little lumps on the side closest to us, whereas knit stitch would put them on the other side of the needle. So both knit and purl are just creating little lumpy bits on one side of the needle. Knit on the side that you can't see, purl on the side that's closest to you. And if you get confused, I tell people to remember pearls are precious, so you would wear your pearls close to you, and therefore the lumpy bits, the purl bits, are on the side closest to you too. I mean, it's a bit of a nonsense thing to say, but if it gives you the image and you remember, hey, it's worth it. So then we're going to the end, and all the time my left hand's working just as hard as my right hand. And we're nearly there. So if I just did all purl stitch, if I'd made a scarf in that, it would look the same as if I did a scarf in garter stitch, because it would be a scarf of lumps on both sides. It would be every row I'm knitting. For knit stitch, it would be on the other side of the needle, whereas with purl, it would be on the side closest to me, but it would be every alternate row as well that it would be on the side, that side. So let's have a look. You can see a whole bunch of lumps. Nothing's looking different. And yet, when I showed you the blanket before, which I'll get out again, let's have a look at that again. That's quite different to this. And yet, knit and purl are the same things that we've used there. Now, if I was going to knit this border, the thing to remember when you're using knit and purl and you're alternating between them is to remember to take the yarn around to the other side. So for knit, I just have it like that. So I go into the stitch, remember that, under, over, out, slip it off. But before I do a purl stitch, I've got to remember to bring it around to the front of the needle and then make a cross, wrap it around and off. Then to do a knit stitch, it has to go back under the needle, and you do a knit stitch. To do the purl, it's got to come back under the needle, wrap around the needle, out and off. For knit, I'd have to go back again. For purl, back again, so you can see it's back and forth after every stitch, always under the needle. So let's have a look. If you get up close, you can see there's like little flat bits there, little lumpy bits there, flat, lumpy. So every second one is alternating because the lump is in on the other side. If it's not on the front, it's on the other side. So I've just finished with a knit stitch, so therefore I've got to do a purl and come back all the time under the needle. So under the needle, do a purl, under the needle, do a knit, under the needle, do a purl, and so on. We're nearly at the end of the row. Now the beauty of doing moss stitch, if you did an entire scarf in moss stitch, which is knit one, purl one, it wouldn't roll up on you. Whereas if you did a scarf with a row of knit and a row of purl, which gives you that stocking stitch appearance, your scarf will roll or turn into a tube. Nothing you can do about it. So the idea is to have a stitch where it's evenly balanced, like knit and purl, or you can do a whole scarf of purl or a whole scarf of knit, and they wouldn't roll either. But when you do stocking stitch, because it's putting all of the lumps on the one side of the garment, it is going to roll it. So it puts a tension there. So if you have a look at the back, that's when you do a row of knit and purl. You see how all the lumps are really close together? And that will make it want to roll. So to avoid that, you put a border like moss stitch around it, or do the whole thing in moss stitch, and the patterning will flatten it out. So I'm nearly done. And there we have it. So we've done a row of one knit, one purl. Down the bottom we had 3 rows of garter stitch, of knit stitch, but here we've got one knit, one purl, one knit, one purl, one knit, one purl. You can see it going across, alternating between a little V or a flat bit and a lumpy bit. So knowing that skill, if you can have knit and purl going together, you can start to get quite fancy. So there's the ones I showed you. There's another one, different shape in the middle. So here we've got not just colour stripes, but also vertical stripes of moss stitch. So this blanket's all little squares sewn together of different panels like that, where you've got moss and cables happening as well. We'll do cables later. So hope you enjoyed that. Now you're ready to really tackle something fancy. Well done! Look at you! Now you can purl. You did casting on in step 1, you learned the knit stitch in step 2, you've done purl stitch. Now it's time to move to step 4, which is increasing the number of stitches on your needle. But don't forget to click on the subscribe button. Also have your notifications turned on so that you get notified every time I've made a new video. Let's continue.